All right, guys, last time we turned it into a split screen game with two characters. Now we need a way to fight. So let's create a fireball. Um, First thing that we're going to do before we actually create a fireball that we can throw back and forth is let's think for a second about what a fireball should look like. What is it? With at least one of my classes, I've already discussed it in class, and what people kind of decided was that it should be ball shaped. And it should be like a ball that has things sticking out of it, like sticks or twigs, or I can't remember all the different ways that people described it. But so we're going to have a ball, and then things are going to be poking out of it. I don't like poking out of it. I like the idea of things shooting out of it. There should be flames that leap off of it. We don't want something that looks like a star that just has points sticking out. That doesn't look like fire to me. The fire should actually have some motion to it. So we're going to explore the particle system here. So before we get to the particle system, I'm going to go over to my hierarchy and create an 3D object. Let's create a sphere. That's going to be the ball. That's going to be the core, the center of our fireball. So I'm just going to kind of move it so it's sort of down by my people. And okay, so it's right by them. I have a pretty good idea of how big they look and how big the ball looks. What I want to do now is I want this thing to be a lot smaller, because this is not the entire fireball. This is going to be just the core of the fireball. And so I want that to be small, and the other parts are going to stick out from there. So I'm going to make this thing actually kind of small. Let's go over to the scale of my sphere. You know what? Let's change the name of this before we do anything else. Instead of sphere, let's call it fireball. Maybe with a capital F. Okay. Now I'm going to change the scale, and let's go to like half size and see what we think. 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5. Okay. That might be okay. I like it fine. Let's go with that. We can always change the scale again later if we want to. Okay, so we have a fireball. Except that it doesn't. It's not the right color. We need a color for this. So I'm going to go to my materials. I think I would like it to be like a red or an orange or a yellow, some kind of fiery color. Maybe we'll do yellow at the core and have like red and orange come off of that or something. So I'm going to make myself a new material, create a material, and let's call it fire red. And we'll grab, yellow. Let's make it yellow. Fire. Yellow. Okay. So I don't want this tan color. Let's go. You know, I'm going to add, that's green and ugly looking. I'm going to add this color to the ball so that I can see what it looks like out there while I mess with the color. Definitely swinging my yellow towards orangey color is going to be better. Okay. Okay, so I've got my yellow color, and it doesn't look like fire at all. The main reason why it doesn't look like fire is because it has this shadow, right? It casts a shadow. Maybe that's fine, but like the bottom of it is dark. That's not what fire looks like. Fire isn't dark on the bottom of it. It's the source of light, right? So this is pretty weird looking, and we don't want it to look like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the material, my fire yellow color here, and in the inspector, we're going to change the shader. We don't want the shadows. We're going to change the shader. So instead of the standard shader, I'm going to go to an unlit. You know what? Let me get the side of this in here so you can see it a little better. So I'm going to go to an unlit shader. I'm going to just grab this one called color. Now it's just the color, right? There's no shadows, no nothing. And now that I've got this thing, actually to be without shadows, it seems a little dark to me. I think I want it brighter. So let's see if I can't get my main color here to be just a little bit of a brighter. Let's take. It's too much. That's all right. I like that. Okay. So now I've got my yellow ball. It is, in fact, still a ball, but it just looks like a big yellow dot, which is fine for the moment. It doesn't have any actual shape looking to it. It's ceased to look three-dimensional. But we're going to have our flames pop out of it in every direction, so that should help a lot. Okay. So the next thing that we need to do is add our particle system, and that is going to shoot flames out. So I'm going to grab my fireball, and what we're going to do is we're not going to add a game object to it. We're going to add a component over here. So I'm going to add component. Let's make some space here. I'm going to add component, and we're going down to effects right here. And then from there, we're going to grab our particle system. Immediately, goofy, big, purple squares start popping out of this thing. Okay? So this is not right. We got some work to do to make this thing look like fire. So we're gonna kind of start getting used to looking at where to find things in the particle system, and that's going to yeah. There's a billion different settings on this, and we're just going to scratch the surface a hint. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to the shape tab. If you look at your particle system here and you scroll down, all of a sudden there's all these extra tabs. All of these things, like emission, if I click on emission, it opens a whole bag of stuff here that I can change the settings on. We're looking right now for the shape one. So notice that at the moment our particles are all flying off in one direction. That's not what we want. To me, a fireball should have fire that leaps off the thing in every direction. So the direction is controlled by the shape. Now you can see this sort of wireframe look to the thing that controls the shape of of where these purple squares are flying towards. So instead of a cone like we see in the shape tab here, I'm going to pick a sphere. Notice now they fly off in every possible direction. This, to me, is closer to what we want, right? It's still purple squares. It still looks super goofy. It's not right yet, but I think that's closer. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is, let's see. My radius at the moment is the radius is how big of a surface area are the particles being generated in, and I want my radius to be smaller. I'm gonna make it. Let's see. I'm gonna make it as small as I can. I'm gonna type in a 0, and it won't go all the way to 0. It's giving me 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. That's coming from the center of the ball now instead of the outside surface of the ball. And I don't honestly know if it makes a huge difference to me, but I remember the first time that I made this, I liked it better that way. So the other thing that I'm going to do is, let's see, I think I might be done with the shape. I'm going to go up to the top here where it says fireball, right? So this is not in the tabs underneath. There's a setting here called pre-warm. Now, if I click on that, that doesn't seem to change anything. But what this is that when the fireball comes into existence in the scene, you're going to be running around in the game and there's no fireball yet, right? And then you see your enemy and you shoot a fireball at him. And when you shoot a fireball at him, there isn't a fireball, and then suddenly there is a fireball, and then it flies towards him, right? So when the thing comes into existence, it's going to be just this ball, and then the purple cubes are going to start coming off of it. They're not going to be purple cubes later, but first it's going to be just the ball by itself, and then the cubes will come off of it, unless you click pre-warm. So when you click pre-warm, instead of starting by just having the ball and then the projectiles coming off of it start coming out of it, what it's going to do is it's going to pretend that it's always been throwing off these projectiles, and then when it comes into being, it's already going to have a bunch of them sort of flying off of it already. So that's what pre-warm is. Okay, so we definitely want the thing to pre-warm. That's going to work better. Okay, let's look at my list here. Check the pre-warm. Start size. Right here, start size. Right now, the start size is 1. And what we're talking about is the size of these purple squares. Remember, 1, as far as measurement of size, means 1 meter. That's 1 unity unit, which is supposed to be something along the lines of like 1 meter long. So each one of these squares is 1 meter on a side, which is why they're so huge and weird looking. So we don't want our start size to be 1. I'm going to bring that back to, I don't know, let's make it 0.1, 0.1 and see what that is. Now, that's better. It just looks like tiny little purple grains of sand flying off of it. So if I'm making fire, I don't know, maybe those are sparks or something, right? This is more believable. They're purple still, and that's wrong, but that's usable. Okay. Now, the start lifetime right here, what that is how many seconds are these particles going to be around? So right now, 5 seconds is way too long. We don't want them to shoot off into space forever. So I'm going to change that to, let's make it 1 second and see what that does. Okay, now notice they pop off of there and they just kind of disappear after they go this far. So that's pretty cool. I like that. What I don't like is that it's still making my fireball too big. So I think I might actually, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make the start lifetime even shorter. But I also want to change the start speed. These are, it doesn't look fast enough. It doesn't look like fire blasting out of the center of it. So instead of a start speed of 5, let's make that a start speed of 10 and see, okay, now they're popping out of there faster. That might even be still too slow for fire and sparks. So I'm going to make it 20. Okay. Now, the problem that I'm having is that now they're traveling 4 times as fast as they used to be. So my start lifetime is lasting 1 second. That's the same amount of time, but they're going 4 times as fast. So that's not good. I'm going to make that, let's make that 0.1 just for starters. And you can kind of see how far they're going here. They're heading out to about there. And for a moment, I think that's kind of okay. So, let's see. Now, let's start to make this thing actually, instead of having microscopic little dots pop out of it, let's start to have some thickness to our fire. So now I'm going to go to the emission tab right here. Here's my emission. So rate over time, it says 10. And if we increase this, what's going to happen is it's going to put more and more and more of these. I believe rate over time of 10 means that over a period of 1 second, 10 little dots are going to pop out in the span of 1 second. So let's, instead of 10, let's put in 100. Ah, okay. Still doesn't look like fire, but yeah, we got some more action here. Just for giggles, let's put in another 0. Let's put 1,000. Okay. That's better, I think, but I still don't like it particularly. It's not thick enough. It's not looking like there's fire leaping off of it. So I'm going to add another 0. Let's go to 10,000 rate over time. Okay. That is just a shimmery ball now. So maybe what we have right here is that they're flying off too fast and you can't see that they're coming off of it, and it just looks like it's a, I don't know, it might work. So we're gonna do that, and let me just for giggles, instead of 10,000 in here, I'm gonna make this 100,000, just see what it looks like. 100,000. Okay, that looks bizarre. Now here's what's happening. It looks like there's a wave of these things coming across and then none behind it. And the reason why it looks like that is because we have right above the emission tab over here, we have this spot where we have max particles 1,000. So we're supposed to be making right now, I've got 100,000 particles released every second, but this max particles means that there can only be a total of 1,000 particles at any one moment. That's the most we can have. So that's why we're getting, like, it's making 1,000 of them, and they come across, they pop out in sort of a wavefront in a ball shape. And then when they all disappear, then it creates new ones. Now, I pretty much guarantee you that if I've told it to make 100,000 in a second. If I increase this max particles to more than 1,000, it's going to actually try now to make 100,000 particles all at the same time. And that's an awful lot of math for the computer to do all at the same time. And it's probably going to crash my computer. So I'm actually going to back this off. I'm going to bring this back down to 1,000. Yeah, let's make it 1,000 for rate over time. And then we'll sneak the amount up here. For the max particles, I'm going to put an absurdly large number in here. Like, I'm just going to add, see, what did I get there? So I've told it I want a maximum of 10 million particles that this particle thing can shoot out. That is way, way more than my computer can handle, probably. I don't know. We'll see. So now I'm going to go from 1,000. Let's make it, instead of 1,000, let's make it 5,000. Whoa, that's, I put 5,600. Okay, now my computer is chugging. Oh, there we go. That's just a thick ball. That doesn't look like fire at all. That's because I got 56,000. Let me back a 0 off of that. Okay, so there's 5,600. To me, it doesn't look thick enough. Let's do this. Let's just mess with the things that we have right now. So I'm going to slow the speed down. So instead of speed of 20, let's make it a speed of 10. Which gives us a little different look. They're not traveling far enough, I think, now. So let's, in the lifetime, let's make it 0.2. That seems okay. All right. We could play with this all day, but the fact is we still don't even have the right colors in here yet. We don't want purple fireball or anything like that. So we've got to fix that. Now, the reason why it's purple squares is because this is supposed to have a material attached to it. Now, I can scroll down to the, let me close my emission tab here. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom where we have the renderer. Now, your particle system is throwing off little particles, and each particle is kind of like its own game object. So right now, we're throwing off particles that are just little dots, basically. So we can, if we go into these other things, we can go, let's see. I don't know, maybe in the renderer, I remember I think you can actually load game objects into this. So like if you make little cars out of game objects, you can have this thing throw off little cars, and you can throw off 10,000 little cars, all, that kind of thing. That's absurd. You usually don't want to do that. Sometimes it can be a cool way of doing something. But the main thing is right here we have our material, and we have none material in here. That's why purple squares instead of anything in particular. So let's make a material. I'm going to create a material, and we'll just make it Let's call it fire red. Get the actual color to be red. And just like the ball, I think we want not the standard shader, but I think we want the UI, the unlit color. So it's just red, right? Okay. And then we're going to go back to our fireball, which has this particle system with its renderer tab. And I'm going to add this red material right here where the material is missing. So when I drop this red color in here, now we have red coming out of the coming out at the center of our yellow ball. So if I click off of this, we get a still image of it. If I click on it, then we get to see it in motion, but we also have this structure there, and that's kind of ugly looking. A different tool takes that away, and that's pretty good. Over here in the game tab, this is what the fireball looks like in the air right now. Let's just mess with this a little bit more, try and get our fireball to actually look just right. So at this point, I'm kind of off script. I'm just gonna mess with a couple things, and you can watch me do it. If you like how yours is, you can consider yourself done with this video. But if you really want to fine tune this, you might learn a little bit by watching me mess with what I do right here. So feel free to abandon ship, but I'm going to explore this, the attributes of the particle system just a little bit more. Okay, so here I go. Let's, what I like to do is have it change color over lifetime. So what I want is it's yellow in the middle, and it's red for every particle that pops out of there. I think it might be a little bit cooler if the particles started with a yellow or maybe an orange and turned into a darker red as they leave. So I'm gonna see what I can do about this color over time. If I check that right there, it activates that section, and now I can pop this open. So let's see, I'm going to go double click that arrow right there, and it's going to give me a color picker. So I'm going to start with kind of let's start with like an orange, right? And then over time, we're going to color picker, going to a red. Okay, so theoretically, the particles, when they start really close to the ball, should be this color, and they should slowly warm into that red. Maybe we'll even make that a little bit darker. Nah, I like the red. Bright red. Okay. Okay. Now I have to figure out why I don't see that change here. Let's see. Maybe it's in the renderer settings. So some of you that are looking to see if I actually know what I'm talking about at this point are thinking that I don't know what I'm doing. And at this point, you're right. When I get deep into these settings here, I don't know what I'm doing. Min particle size. Apply active color space. Let's just uncheck that and see what it does. That did not do what I want. Put it back. Cast shadows off. Okay. Maybe there's something at the top that activates this. So start color. I don't know. Tell it we want to start color. That also didn't seem to do anything. Let's remove the material down here. That we want none. And it just puts us back to the purple square. So we definitely need the material. If we're going to have the color. So, let's see. Color by speed. Velocity over lifetime might be fun. So we could, in the same way that we were supposed to be able to have yellow at the beginning of the life of each particle and darker red at the end of each particle, or at the end of its life, rather, we could have it speed out of there fast at the beginning and slow down as it reaches the end. So you can do, there's a lot of things that you can do with the particles here. So I don't want to drag this video out for 2 hours while I fumble around here and try and figure out how to get my colors right. So I think I'm going to just conclude the video. But you got to see me kind of fumble around. And honestly, fumbling around in here and messing with the settings and try and finding the one that makes it work the way that you want is a great way to learn. Other ways to learn? Hit the Google this up, figure out how to make color over lifetime work. So I'm gonna stop the video now. You guys have fun fine tuning this if you want. I'm gonna do it after I hit stop here. See you in the next video where we make the fireball fly forwards.